Hello, and welcome back to another episode of What Does This Button Do? A series where I play games passionately, but not necessarily skillfully.
And I watch.
I'm Rhiannon.
And I'm Sigma.
And today we're going to hop right back into Tyrion Cuthbert, Attorney of the Arcane. Last time, we started Case 2. A professor at the local magical academy has been murdered, and one of the students has been accused of doing the deed because he studies necromancy. However, we know that he can't possibly have done it because he was in the library with us at the time.
I mean, he was gone for a few minutes.
A few minutes during a lockdown where he couldn't possibly have left.
No, he was missing pre-lockdown.
Well, we will look into it and see what we discover.
Mm-hmm.
This one. Spacebar. Alright, it's time for the trial. Take deep breaths and relax. Thanks. Hi, Tyrion.
Celeste! Don't sneak up on me like that.
I'm nervous. Not as if this is your first time defending someone.
I can't help it. There's something about this building that just fills me with anxiety.
You're a lawyer! You better get used to this, bucko. Red Ruby couldn't make it. I'd say that you should calm down for Wallace's sake, but...
There are so many people here!
Not helping, Wallace.
And they're all staring at me. Their eyes are prying into me like a pack of flesh-eating maggots.
Ew. Gross. Good to know Celeste and I had the same reaction.
Don't worry, Wallace. Our investigation revealed a lot of weaknesses in the prosecution's case. We have a strong case for your acquittal. Okay.
See? You can be confident when you want to be. It's strange. Something is calming about Wallace's anxiety.
No, I kind of get that, actually.
It's like he just absorbs the tension out of you and into himself.
I feel like it's a bad thing. That feels like a bad thing.
That feels like a bad thing.
Mm-hmm. Court is now in session for the trial of Wallace Nightgrave.
Oh, good. The only one. I see. The prosecution is ready, Your Honor.
Yes, exactly, Ifrit, a sponge of worry. The defense is also ready. You know, SpongeBob Worry Pants. Very well, let's begin the proceedings. Prosecutor Steelwind, could you please list the charges?
The defendant is a student at the Wyvern Imperial Academy. Mr. Nightgrave is charged with first-degree murder, negligent misuse of the arcane arts, and illegal practice of advanced necromancy.
Necromancy? Do you mean to tell me that the defendant is a necromancer?
I can't believe it! A necromancer in this day and age.
How could the kingdom let this happen?
The autopsy has been updated. I don't think so yet.
Not yet. Your Honor, I would like to remind the... Your Honor, I would like to remind the court that they should view my client objectively. Of course. But one can easily see it from the list of charges. Necromancy plays a large role in charges. Yes, see.
Indeed. The crime occurred within the academy this morning. She does have Edgeworth vibes, and that is why we love her.
I'd say she's got Ace Attorney 2 Edgeworth vibes, but yes.
The victim is Catherine Bellweather, a professor at the school. Although there were no witnesses, traces of necromancy were detected on the body. Furthermore, the autopsy report shows that the body has no physical wounds.
I see.
Necromancy is the only type of magic that can harm an individual without physically wounding them. Additionally, the alchemist report shows no sign of poison or disease. Yes, the autopsy report can be updated, but typically, in this game, I think, it's updated based on your discoveries, not based on the whims of the prosecution.
Technically, we updated the autopsy report.
Yes. Therefore, one can only conclude that a necromancer had committed the crime. As many of you know, necromancy is held under high scrutiny by the Crown.
88 gigs for an update.
Well, that's
Correction,
203
a packet of 200.
updates.
Why is
Yikes.
Final Fantasy XIV like this?
This is a day I'm happy I don't play Final Fantasy.
Ugh, AAA games have just gone completely cattywampus? Cattywampus.
Aside from the defendant, no other students were permitted to learn advanced necrotic magic. As such, the defendant was the only mage in that building capable of committing the murder.
I see. That is certainly compelling evidence.
To properly present our case, the prosecution would like to call Commander Orem White to the stand. Commander White, please testify to the court about the Inquisition's findings. I don't doubt that Final Fantasy XIV is a good game. Final Fantasy just has never been my thing.
I don't like any game I have to pay multiple times for. Yeah. It started with the City Watch got a call from the Imperial Academy. Someone was attacked and the whole building was put on lockdown. We set up a perimeter around the area and waited for the lockdown system to deactivate. When we finally got into the building, the prosecutor personally inspected the body and detected traces of necromancy on it. There were no cuts or bruises on the body either. The entire body was clean. With those two pieces of evidence, we concluded that it could only be the necromancer kid that did it.
Yeah, I know. Dumped you aged like milk in this game, huh?
Yeah, they're fucking terrible.
The Inquisition's testimony is just as you expected. You've already found and identified the holes in Steelwind's case. All you have to do is find that hole in the commander's testimony.
Mr. Cuthbert, you may begin your cross-examination. Shoom.
Let's just press a bunch of different things to start.
You insist. I mean, the way forward's pretty clear. Whatever. What time did this call come in? A little after 3 p.m. It was a few minutes after the murder was... Claire. Flarp. It was a few minutes after the murder was...
Another epidemic of fat tongue disease, I see.
Fuck you.
Right. You remember that was around the time the lockdown occurred.
Happens to the best of us. And also, me. Mostly.
What do I have in my inventory again?
Robots. And dead people. And yes. Oh, hi, Em.
Hello, Em.
And, yeah. Orem White's grumble face is legendary.
Where was the thing about the lockdown system? Okay, we don't have the thing that says the lockdown system stays up for an hour.
It does, though.
Yeah,
It's
I
just
know.
not particularly material to what we're doing right here now.
Right. The lockdown can't be ended manually. So they must have been forced to wait for the 1 hour duration to elapse.
How secure was this perimeter? Is it possible that someone slipped past you?
The Inquisition was working in conjunction with the City Watch and the King's Guard. With that many people on scene, it's very unlikely that anyone escaped unnoticed.
Excuse me. I'm allergic to plotting legal drama.
True. For better or for worse, the kingdom will act quickly to protect a building filled with nobles. This is where we present the bloodstain, correct?
Makes sense to me. And indeed, to the game.
Ugh. Hang on, I'm gonna
Check the actual central one, because I'm getting into. Sorry.
Our audio's being a little wonky in our headphones. I hope it's not wonky for you guys.
They haven't mentioned anything yet, so hopefully it's just on our end. And likely a result of the fact that we're using a cheap headphone splitter so that we can both hear what's going on. Anyway. Commander White, it appears that you've neglected to mention one key detail of the crime scene.
Yeah? And what's that?
During your testimony, you said that the entire body was clean. I will admit there weren't any wounds on the body.
Oh, it is getting a little wonky on the objection? Okay. Maybe it's an issue with the game.
Or perhaps our bitrate is still off?
Sorry, give us just a sec to try to make corrections.
I mean, if it just sounds like the objection is poorly, recorded or mixed, no, that's native to the game. I think whoever they had recording Cuthbert's line didn't really have a good audio setup. Games can't really expect too much better. But yes, we will take our Tim. Tim?
Did crush a bit on that last one. Okay.
Okay.
Okay. As long as that wasn't just me.
I think that was actually just the kind of crappy recording.
Okay. We'll continue, and if anything continued or compressed, we'll look into it further.
Yeah. Unless it's just the objection sound again, which case, well, that'll confirm it. But yeah, no, I played through this entire game before, and that's one thing I did notice was that for some reason, Tyrion Cuthbert's objection specifically just sounded really... Yeah, it's like whatever. Anyway, I will admit there weren't any wounds on the body. However, the body was certainly not clean. At the scene of the crime, there is a large pool of blood located where the body was. This blood came from the victim's body, and was definitely not clean like the commander testified.
It hadn't bathed in weeks. Thank you.
Thanks, Sam. I'm sorry, Mr. Cuthbert, but I fail to see the significance of things. I'd like to remind the court of the prosecution's case against my client. They're accusing him of murdering the victim using necrotic blight, a spell which would not have physically wounded the victim. Yeah, no, they did not bother washing clothes after the hit. But why was there any blood at all?
Let's not get ahead of ourselves. The fact still stands. There were no wounds on the body, nor were there any reports of poison or disease on the autopsy. I fail to see the significance of blood. There are clearly magical elements in this case.
But Catherine Bellweather was bleeding profusely at some point. How else would there be a bloodstain on the body? Do you have an explanation for that, Ms. Steelwind?
No, I'll admit that the prosecution doesn't have an explanation for that. And while I do find the circumstances questionable, all other evidence clearly points to the defendant. If the victim wasn't killed with necromancy, why was there a trace of it on the body?
I'm glad you asked. I'd like to present a spell that could have left a trace of necromancy on the body.
And that's...
Because in this setting...
Healing is of the necromancy school.
And wounds? Correct me if I'm wrong, but isn't that a healing spell? That's correct, Your Honor. Spells from the School of Necromancy can control the forces of death and life.
Time to put the Necromancy 101 we learned yesterday to use.
Yes, indeed. Mend Wounds is, in fact, a necromancy spell. Really now? I wasn't aware of that. Now, I'd like the court to consider the following.
Bill Nye, the science guy.
What would happen if Bellweather was wounded and someone attempted to heal her using Mend Wounds? All of her wounds would disappear from her body. Oh, I see.
Oh, did the objection come through weird on Aria for you?
Yeah.
Okay.
Hmm.
Would that be an issue with the game? I
Be an
think it
issue
would
with the
have
voice
to
music.
be, because it's not...
Okay, yeah, it's crunchy on their end, too. Let's see if we can't bring the voice volume down, and that won't fix it. There is no voice volume. Great. Awesome.
Joy.
And fucking tastic.
Would it be sound effect?
Yes.
Let's bring it down to like 75. See if that helps. Do you honestly think I'm that incompetent, Mr. Cuthbert?
You do not want me to answer that.
Frankly, I'm a little insulted.
What?
The Inquisition is well aware of what happens when a mage attempts to save a victim using Mend Wounds. The healers that arrived at the scene already confirmed that the victim was long dead. None of them attempted to heal her.
Well, what if someone tried to heal her and didn't report it?
Please, none of the healers would have anything to gain by doing so. In fact, as a necromancer, the defendant could have easily carried out the described scenario. He could have cast Mend Wounds on the victim after murdering her to confound the investigation. At the end of the day, the burden of proof is on you. But if you could just find out who healed the body, this case is yours. And whoever this healer is, Valentina definitely knows her.
Your Honor, I will admit that I don't have any evidence to support my theory. However, I do believe that we can bring it to light. There may have been two people that witnessed someone cast magic on the body. Valentina and Valerie Yanis, the sisters who discovered the body.
This is nonsense. We've already questioned those two witnesses extensively. If they had witnessed something like that, it would have come up in their testimony.
If that's true, then you have nothing to lose by hearing their testimonies.
Very well. If you're so confident, let's hear the witness's testimony.
It seems that the prosecution has no objections. However, if this line of questioning leads nowhere, I will see no reason to further prolong this trial. Do you understand, Mr. Cuthbert? Of course, Your Honor.
Oh crap! That guy from before! Is He, the necromancer's lawyer?
Hi!
A necromancer detective would be fun.
Oh, yeah.
She just got on the stand and she's already stressed out. This could work in your favor.
Valentina Yanis is a precious being with anxiety.
Fine, if you're so confident, go ahead. Cross-examine the parrot. You'll want to remember that.
It's a special tool that will help us later.
Witness, please state your name and occupation for the court. My name? Witness, there's no need to be so nervous. We merely want to hear about what you saw on the day of the murder. Right. It's just that guy over there. You mean Mr. Cuthbert? Did this man harass you, witness?
He's a lich detective. Oh, that is interesting. Wait a minute.
Yeah. He, super harassed me.
Sucker harassment panda. How shameful. I would expect a member of our justice system to behave more professionally. Oh, shut up. Witness, please state your name and occupation for the court. Ms. Yanis.
Just calm down. He can't prove anything. My name is Valentina Yanis. I'm a member of the kitchen staff at the Wyvern Imperial Academy. As I recall, you were one of the witnesses who discovered the body. Apparently, the defense finds your involvement suspect. Rest assured, Ms. Yanis. In this courtroom, you will be protected from Mr. Cuthbert's harassment. Now please testify to the court on what happened that day. Yeah. I was walking with my sister in the West Wing when we noticed something in a nearby classroom. We looked over to see what it was. That's when we saw Miss Bellweather bleeding on the ground. My sister tried her best to help her, but the professor had already lost a lot of blood. While my sister did that, I used an emergency communication device to call for help. But it was too late. By the time her bleeding stopped, she'd already lost too much blood. If your theory is true, that means she just lied in her testimony. She's definitely holding something back.
She definitely saw more than she's letting on.
You just need to prove that somehow.
Mr. Cuthbert, you may begin your cross-examination. But no harassing!
Okay, that was crunchy too. I don't know what is causing the sound to be so crunchy. I am going to try very quickly closing and reloading the game to see if that fixes our audio issues at all. Apologies, folks.
See, the music's coming through just fine. It's literally only the sound effects, which is weird.
Okay, we'll see if that fixes anything. Tell me how your sister tried to help. She tried to help her?
Ms. Yanis, how exactly did your sister try to help Ms. Bellweather?
What? Ah, I slipped up. My sister used first aid to try to stop the bleeding.
I see. It's just over my lines.
Sorry.
Could you please add that detail to your testimony?
Yeah, sure.
You did get a new thingamadoo.
Yeah. I don't necessarily want to present anything at the moment.
Are you sure about that?
Do I present the autopsy?
Why are you asking me?
I'm speaking rhetorically.
Ugh, still crunchy.
Not fixed.
And
I did not.
yes, it is fully updated. I think it might honestly be that...
Oh, the autopsy report, no.
Oh. Well, it's as up-to-date as it needs to be. Both the game and the autopsy report.
Witness, what is the meaning of this? What? Why are you looking at me like that?
Maybe I can elaborate, Ms. Yanis. You weren't present in the gallery earlier, were you?
No, I was waiting in the lobby. Lady Steelwind told me to wait there.
Well, I suppose I should consider myself lucky. You see, Ms. Yanis, one key element of the case is that the body didn't have any wounds on it.
Yeah, so?
So, please explain to the court, Ms. Yanis. How did Valerie apply first aid when there shouldn't have been any wounds in the... when there shouldn't have been any wounds on the body?
What? No, I screwed up. But I saw that wound on her. What happened?
There's clearly something amiss here. But I'm afraid I don't fully understand the implications of this. Are you accusing the witness of committing perjury, Miss Bell?
When someone lies, they stay as close to the truth as possible while changing minute details. In her thoughts, Valentina said that she was sure she saw a wound on Bellweather. And she also mentioned that Valerie was the one who tried to save the professor. If she didn't try to save Bellweather with first aid, could she have used magic instead? Her sister could be the mage that you're looking for.
The witness was lying, Your Honor, but not about everything. Valerie Yanis did try to save the victim's life by addressing her wounds. But she didn't use first aid. She used magic!
No! He found us out?
Ugh.
I'm sorry, Mr. Cuthbert, but your theory is completely flawed.
How so, Miss Steelwind?
Well, it's quite simple. We've already verified that neither of the sisters are mages. Yeah, I do apologize for the crunchy objections, but I can't figure out what to do to correct it.
I suspect it might be a processing issue with your computer, or at least...
Which would be weird because it hasn't had this issue any of the other times we've streamed.
Hasn't it?
No. No crunchy audio.
It always sounds a bit crunchy on my end, at least for those bits.
Oh, well. I don't know. Apologies all.
What? Wait, how can you be so sure?
During the investigation, we had both the Yanis sisters attuned to a spell compendium. It's standard procedure for the Inquisition when interviewing witnesses.
And that means...
That's correct. Neither of the Yanis sisters could attune to a compendium. That's right. The Inquisition checked us both. Or did they check one of the identical twins twice? Neither of us are mages. That was close. Yeah, Ifrit, my money is also on them checking Valentina twice.
I mean, would they even include twins in a story like this if that wasn't the case?
Damn it! Were you wrong about Valerie being a mage then? No. That can't be right. Her thoughts said he found us out. That means you were on the right track. Valerie has to be the mage you're looking for.
Celeste. Possible for a mage to hold a spell compendium and avoid attuning.
No, it just needs to be on their person. When I was arrested, the Inquisition also made me attune to one of their spell compendiums. They were really careful to make sure that I did the attunement correctly. There's no way a mage could avoid attuning to a compendium with them watching you. Right. Commander White may be negligent sometimes, but even he isn't that careless. Now, if you're done, I do believe that you've exhausted all your options.
Well, wait! I'm still not done cross-examining this witness!
What could you possibly hope to glean from her testimony? Valentina should be stressed out enough to see more of her thoughts. But you can't exactly say that you're planning to read her mind. It's a bit cheeky.
There's one key element of her testimony that the court is overlooking. I have a right as an attorney to complete my cross-examination.
Your Honor, the defense is clearly trying to buy time.
I might be compelled to agree with you.
The judge also has an impressive grumble face.
Grumble face. However, I'll also admit that some elements of the witness's testimony are quite peculiar. I will allow the defense to perform one more cross-examination.
That was close.
But know that this is your last chance, Mr. Cuthbert. If you produce nothing substantial, I will pass my verdict. And possibly also a kidney stone. Sorry. Of course, Your Honor. Kidney stone? Really? Here?
Alright, it's all or nothing. If you can't find anything by reading her mind, this whole case is finished. Witness, please give your testimony once more. Okay. Damn it. How long does he plan to keep me up here? Like I said, my sister and I saw Miss Bellweather bleeding on the ground. We rushed over to her. I was definitely surprised when I saw her like that.
My kidneys are about to building. In court, I must release the floodgates. Thank you, Everett, for making it immeasurably worse.
Now that you mention it, I don't know if I saw any wounds on her, but I definitely saw blood. I can't go now. It's dumb. My sister tried to save her, but she didn't use any magic. Valerie, you're too kind-hearted. Neither of us is a mage. Both of us held that book the knights gave us. I was caught off guard when they asked us. They almost found us out. The commander was watching us the whole time. He can confirm it. It's a good thing we're twins, or else that trick wouldn't have worked. Knew it. What are we going to do? They have pretty hard proof that Valerie isn't a mage.
Valerie is the mage we're looking for. I'm sure of it. I'm just not sure why they felt the need to lie to the Inquisition.
And more importantly, how did they trick the Inquisition? Well, we already figured that out.
Hey, staying crunchy. I...
Turn the master volume down, maybe?
Possibly.
Gonna interpret on... Nope, not work.
If anything, it's worse. Right. Ms. Giannis, your thoughts betray you.
Cuthbert, don't freaking reveal that you're a mind reader in front of the court.
Oops.
I'm pretty sure that's cheating. What? You found the thought. They must have done
she's
something.
right there on the witness stand.
But what? It must have happened when Commander White was interrogating them. Orem was the one who collected their statements. Did he? Oh.
Did he notice anything off about their behavior?
From what he said, they had a few quirks, but nothing too suspicious.
Quirks?
He told me that they were running and spinning around him during questioning. The old shell game.
What does that mean?
I have no idea. Perhaps they were still on edge after finding their coworker murdered.
Running? Oh, right, sorry.
Running and spinning. Yeah.
Spin!
Her thoughts also said it's a good thing that we're twins.
Twins!
How did the twins trick the Inquisition? This means their so-called trick wouldn't have worked if they weren't twins.
Oh. We love you, Vinny.
Valentina switched places with Valerie. Of course, they switched places. Valentina attuned to the first spell compendium. Then she pretended to be Valerie to attune to the second one. Commander White couldn't tell the difference between them.
Ms. Giannis, there's something I want to confirm. During the investigation, both you and Valerie attuned to a spell compendium. Am I correct?
Yeah, that knight watched us do it.
And how did he have you do this? Did you both attune to those compendiums at the same time? Or did you... Excuse me. Or did you attune one after the other?
What? No way. Isn't that what we did? I fail to see how that makes any difference, Mr. Cuthbert.
Yes, I agree. The spell compendiums would work regardless of what order they went in. You may not be aware of this, Your Honor, but Valentina and Valerie Giannis are identical twins, which means that their physical appearances are nearly identical to each other. If Commander White didn't have them attuned at the same time, what would stop the twins from switching places with each other?
This is clearly nothing but baseless conjecture. Orem wouldn't fail at such a basic task.
Really, Prosecutor Steelwind? Do you find it hard to believe that Commander White would fail at a task like this?
Do I need to remind you of our last court hearing together? Wait a minute, this is crazy! We didn't trick the Inquisition. My sister and I are not mages.
Then prove it, Miss Giannis. Bring in your sister and we'll have you attuned to 2 spell compendiums at the same time.
No, wait!
Aw, come on. Sorry, Orem. Order in the court. It's clear that we won't get anywhere unless we test the defense's theory. Elif, escort Valerie and Elif to the stand and bring 200 Doom spell compendiums. Okay.
They've both had their hands on those compendiums for the last 10 minutes. There's no way they can take it in front of this many people. Alright, it's the moment of truth. You can only hope that your theory is correct.
Drum roll.
No! Did he seriously?
Yes, he seriously fucked it up. What is it, Prosecutor Steelwind? What do you see? What do your elf eyes see?
What I see is Commander White seeking new employment in the near future. Also, they're taking the Hobbit's Isengard. It appears that the defense was correct. Valentina Yanis isn't a mage, but Valerie Yanis is.
Robble, robble, robble.
What's more, Valerie Yanis's compendium contains the Mend Wounds spell, which makes the defense's theory entirely plausible. Please, just allow me to explain. We should allow you to explain what, exactly? You're an unregistered mage, and you and your sister have made fools out of all of us with your perjury. How would you know what it's like, Lady Steelwind? What? Did you think we didn't notice your name? You're not like us. You don't have to hide. Whatever. This whole situation has gotten out of hand. I didn't think hiding it would cause so much trouble. And I won't let someone go to prison because of me, even if he is a necromancer. Please let me testify about what I saw. I'll tell you what really happened that day.
Right, sorry. Anyway. But understand that this will honk. But understand that there will be repercussions for your actions with this. Possibly listening to no shenanigans, of course, we'd have a stroke.
Yes, I know.
Good, now call it judulence.
My sister and I were walking in the hallway from the kitchen to the foyer.
Man, that kid just totally took it out of him.
Please, this is a murder trial. Then I suddenly spotted the professor lying in a pool of blood in a nearby classroom. Valentina used a communication device to call for help while I tried to save her. I saw that she was bleeding, so I cast Mend Wounds on her to close her wounds. But it was too late. I closed the hole in her stomach, but she was already dead.
There was a hole in her stomach. Dear Liza, dear Liza.
I was gonna make the joke, but didn't think anyone else would get it.
Darling, I don't think there's anybody who doesn't know the song There's a Hole in My Bucket.
My mother's 5th grade class would argue with you.
Well, given the fact that she taught it to them, I don't think they would. Your Honor, as you can see from the witness's testimony, the trace of necromancy was left by the witness, not my client. What's more, it's clear that there was a physical wound on the body. Oh, for fuck's sake, Z! The hole was in the victim's stomach, not the judge's, Em.
Don't be mean.
I see. Well.
His words trail off. He clearly doesn't want to pass a verdict when there's no clear culprit. But he has no choice. The case against Wallace is predicated on Bellweather being killed by necromancy. With Valerie's testimony, the prosecution doesn't have a shred of evidence implicating him. I bet I know what they're going to argue.
Very well. The court sees no reason to prolong this trial.
And objection. Nope.
With these new developments, the court has no choice but to find Wallace Nightgrave not...
Objection.
Oh, for fuck's sake!
I believe the court is ignoring one key detail of the witness's testimony.
And what would that be, Ms. Steelwind?
Let's re-examine the witness's testimony. The communication device that Valentina Yanis used logs the time of day during each use.
Should probably still read out.
Oops, sorry about that, y'all.
Still.
From this log, we know that Valentina used this device at 3:04 p.m. This was an hour after the time of death.
Where are you going with this?
Mr. Cuthbert, there was a witness who saw the victim before the body was found. Jan Hughes. He, along with another witness, spotted Bellweather walking the hallways before the body was found.
I was cleaning the halls. Bellweather knocked over a vase. There were shards of dirt everywhere. It was probably 20 to 30 minutes before the twins found the body.
20 to 30 minutes before the body was found. Do you see the discrepancy, Mr. Cuthbert? Wait, that can't be right. Bellweather died more than an hour before the body was found. So how did Jan see her half an hour after her death? I can think of one way. I wonder, Mr. Cuthbert, how could one make a dead body move and walk around?
No, surprisingly, this was one of the few moments where the janitor was not asleep. Sorry, I was just answering effort. No. You can't mean...
There was more than one piece of evidence that pointed to a necromancer committing the crime. The defendant murdered the victim and used necromancy to animate her corpse. An undead created within the Imperial Academy?
More likely than you think.
How reprehensible!
That's ridiculous! She had a hole in her stomach when the twins found her. Jane Hughes would have noticed that.
Would he? Animate corpse stops the flow of blood, so she wouldn't have tracked blood anywhere. That's convenient as hell.
Indeed.
The defendant is also proficient with illusion magic. He could have easily used an illusion spell to hide the undead Bellweather's wounds.
But another party could have easily used illusion magic to disguise themselves as the victim.
If that were true, how did they move the body to the classroom?
Thinking about...
true. Animate
keep that-
corpses can't talk.
Y'all keep Z's musings in mind now. It's a special tool that'll help us later. I'm sure I've been saying that a lot. Mickey sure has been saying that a lot. Miss Steelwind, if your theory is true, it would mean that the murder occurred elsewhere. Would the Inquisition happen to know where?
Regrettably, we do not.
Then the prosecution's case against my client is still faulty. You can't convict my client without more evidence. I agree with Mr. Cuthbert.
Less worried about this instance than the parrot. The parrot
Don't
joke's
worry.
not going to come back
Don't
for
worry.
a long time.
And don't worry, it's not a parrot. It's worse.
With these new developments, the court sees it fit to suspend the trial for the time being. We will give law enforcement time to investigate these unknowns. Court proceedings for this case will resume tomorrow morning.
It is not a snail, Ifrit.
It is, surprisingly, not a snail.
Court is adjourned.
But you're kind of on track in the sense that it is something that usually can't talk.
Oh, then. Hammer Slam wasn't distorted that time.
Huh.
Maybe it unscrewed itself. I don't know.
Nature is healing itself.
Hey!
Or at least the game is.
Hey, are you feeling okay? A body is seen moving around an hour after death. Clearly wasn't Bellweather. Or at the very least, she wasn't alive when this happened. So what was it? Tyrion? There's illusion magic involved. There has to be. But which spell was it? Could it have been illusory disguise? Tyrion!
Yeah, what?
You've been quiet since the trial ended. You are making me worried.
Sorry. I was just thinking about what Steelwind said.
You mean about her theory? It's a little creepy when you think about it. Do you really think someone turned the professor into an undead?
I don't think so. The prosecution's case is hinged on one clear fact. That Wallace was the only high-level necromancer nearby. We have to assume that he's the only person capable of using that type of magic.
But then how was she walking around?
I don't know. It doesn't make any sense. It's a given that Wallace didn't touch the body, so we can discount the use of high-level necromancy.
No matter what, someone used an illusion. Wait a second. Non-concentration spell, it doesn't specify that he has to touch the body. Anatomy is generally hard,
And, no. Sometimes it ain't your brain that's making the decisions, it's something else. And to be fair, he is pretty hot.
But aren't there spells that can create freestanding illusions? Not just disguises?
I honestly don't know. We need to talk to someone who knows about that type of magic.
I can think of one spooky goth girl!
I mean, or we could go to somebody who's a little more trustworthy, because the master is also a specialist in magic.
Oh.
Or we could go spooky goth. Okay. Well, you won't hear me complain too hard.
Wait, didn't Eris say she was studying illusion magic?
Yes, see, goth girls.
That was Ifrit.
Yes, Ifrit, goth girls. Listen, it's a sentiment that's pretty universal to our specific.
She might be able to tell us if something like that's possible.
Is that really a good idea?
No. What do you mean?
What if he's the one who created the illusion?
What?
You're detecting fear from her again.
Feeling okay, Z?
Celeste, are you scared of Eris?
What? No!
I saw it this morning, too. I always get really scared when she's around.
Oh, I thought I was doing a better job of hiding it. Can't hide from the Eye of Horus, baby.
Not that she knows that.
Sorry, it's not based on anything real, but for years I've been working as a mercenary.
When you do that kind of work, you build up an instinct to sense danger. You kind of have to if you want to stay alive.
Sorry, I never knew.
Tyrion, I fought literal monsters and barely escaped with my life. But when I'm near Eris, none of those creatures come even close.
I fear no man, but that thing, it scares me.
I get this feeling. It's like I'm in front of a predator that I couldn't ever hope to be. Every instinct I have tells me to run whenever she's close by.
Really? But it doesn't seem that dangerous.
I know. I think maybe I'm just anxious or something.
Thank you for continuing the bit, Ifrit.
I should know better than anyone not to judge people by their appearance.
Wrong Eris, M.
Sorry, forget I said anything. If you think we should talk to her, then we should do that.
You're not one to discount Celeste's instincts. She's always been reliable, and if Eris is making her scared, that must mean something. But if Eris really is that dangerous, then that's all the more reason to talk to her.
Tyrion's the sort of guy to look at a hornet's nest and think, you know, that'd make a really fun soccer ball. But aside from that, there was also something else that the prosecutor said.
Mr. Cuthbert, there was a witness who saw the victim before the body was found. Dan Hughes. He, along with another witness, spotted Bellweather walking in the hallways before the body was found.
Yeah, who's that other witness?
She said, along with another witness. That means there was another witness that saw Bellweather walking around.
Right. Jan probably isn't the most reliable witness.
Hey,
So talking to
I mean,
that
you're right, but hey.
So talking to that other person might help us figure out what happened. But do you think Steelwind will tell us who that witness was?
At this point, we'll lose anything by At this point, we won't lose anything by trying.
Don't worry. The other witness isn't important to me getting a guilty verdict.
In any case,
She's not a special tool that will help us later. She's just a tool.
In any case, it looks like you have your work cut out for you. Oh, it's a female witness?
Yes.
So, where should you start first?
In fact, you've already met her. Briefly.
Oh! I was wondering about Mysterious Rapier Girl.
Yes. I still can't believe they put a Ruby reference in this game.
Tyrion? What are we doing here?
Wait, hold the phone. There's Christianity in this universe? Literally the first thing I saw was 3 crosses, stone rolling away from grave. I'm thinking maybe they used, like,
I'm gonna...
a stock grave image.
Let's just go ahead and assume that there's a dip... I mean, anything. I get. No. Okay.
Nah, I'm sorry, you can't pass off this blatant Christian imagery as relating to the Scale Lord.
Yep. Nope.
We're just gonna ignore that.
Yep. I'm not sure.
For some reason, you felt drawn to this place.
Wait, is that Eris?
Celeste points further into the cemetery. Ah yes, the goth girl in her natural habitat.
Yeah, no, that checks out.
There, you see Eris standing in front of a gravestone. She's placing flowers on it and appears to be chanting a short prayer.
Well, we found her.
We should probably talk to her later.
It would be rude to disturb her now.
As you're about to leave, Eris suddenly turns to face you. She's far away, but you can see her beckoning you over.
Oh, hello there. Were you two looking for me?
Sorry, we were looking for you. But we understand if you'd rather talk later.
No, I was just finishing up here. Did you have something you wanted to talk to me about?
Well, we wanted to ask you some questions about the case.
Oh?
Sorry, I was like, I'm sure there's nothing to be gained from examining here. Kenneth something. Oh.
Kenneth.
Listen, if you look at the actual grave on the screen and not the bottom text,
I mean, true.
the name on the stone says Emily Grant, and her lifetime appears to be awfully short. She must have only been 12 years old when she died. Well, that's sad.
Very. And now to completely derail the mood, because I gotta give the freaks some ASMR. Hit it!
ASMR for the freaks! What are your thoughts on the trial, Eris?
That was my first time watching a court trial.
Oh, Sigma cracked open a can of Dr. Pepper. He did not crack his neck.
I can't talk, I'm dead.
You are truly remarkable.
Thank you. Were you in the gallery?
I've always enjoyed watching physical battles in the theater. But I see now that battles of wits can be just as entertaining.
Yes, I'm a spooky ghost. Death by Dr. Pepper.
Death by Dr. Pepper related malpractice.
Entertaining?
Yeah, I know what you mean. You see the author stacked against him? But then he suddenly pulls out this crazy deduction and steers the trial in his favor.
Yes, that's what she meant.
Eris, were you in the gallery? Answer the question.
No.
You'll want to remember that as well. I'm not going to do the Mickey bit again, because it's getting a bit stale.
Also, I'm worried about Walt Disney suing me. Now that we're both ghosts. It's pretty.
Ghost law is very complicated and kind of uncomfortable, and I don't want to talk about it. I've never really thought of it like that.
But I'm sure it's far more entertaining than making the deductions.
I'm not really sure what you mean. I practice law so that I can help those persecuted by the justice system. I don't really do it to entertain myself.
Is that really true?
Yes.
Don't you find the experience even the least bit entertaining, Tyrion?
What the hell was that?
I wouldn't really put it that way.
You're far too modest. You save people from the clutches of death. To your clients, you might as well be a knight in shining armor.
Earlier you said that you were studying illusion magic.
Can she be fixed different?
Well,
I am. Did you want to ask me about the prosecution theory?
Yes, actually. How did you know?
It was after seeing you in the courthouse. At any rate, disguising an undead with an illusion is definitely possible. And as Lady Steelwind said, illusory disguise would be the best spell to use for that.
What if someone created a freestanding illusion?
A freestanding illusion?
Yeah, like a cardboard cutout, but magic. We know that Wallace didn't animate and disguise the professor's corpse. So what if the illusion wasn't disguising anything? Maybe someone created a freestanding illusion of Bellweather walking around.
For something like that, one would probably use a major illusion.
Major illusion creates a three-dimensional illusion. The illusion can take the form of any object or creature that can be contained in a 10-foot cube. While concentrating, the caster can animate and move the image to a different location within range. The illusion is purely visual and can't be physically touched. What is it?
I don't think major illusion is what we're looking for. Do you remember what Jan said?
Was cleaning a mess in the hallways. Bellweather knocked over a vase, and there were shards and dirt everywhere.
If the Bellweather that Jan saw was a major illusion, then she couldn't have knocked over that vase. Illusions created by that spell don't have any mass.
I have a theory. I'm not going to say it out loud because I want to see if it's right.
I see. How perceptive of you.
Aren't there any other illusion spells that do have mass?
No. Illusions can only recreate visual and auditory sensations. But there isn't a single illusion spell that someone can touch. That's why they're illusions, dumbass.
So that means that someone disguised something to make it look like Bellweather.
Why the look of suspicion, Celeste?
Sorry, I wasn't...
Calm down. I'm only joking. I don't blame you for considering every possibility. In fact, I'm flattered you think I'm capable of pulling off such an elaborate ruse.
Well, this does tell us one important thing.
What's that?
The Bellweather that Jan saw had a physical mass to it. It wasn't a freestanding illusion. It was someone or something disguised as Bellweather.
Jan's statement. 30 minutes before the Giannis twins found the body, Bellweather walked past Jan in the West Wing hallway. He was in her path, so she shoved him out of her way. After that, she knocked over a vase and shattered it. Even though Jan didn't say anything to her, she yelled at him to be quiet. After this interaction, she walked into Lecture Hall 2B. The Bellweather, witnessed by Jan Hughes, must have been disguised with an illusion. In addition to that, whoever he saw that day was physically there.
It's quite a name, isn't it?
Eris looks pensively at the gravestone. The name on the stone says Emily Grant, and her lifetime appears to be awfully short. You're getting a strange sense of déjà vu. She must have only been 12 years old when she died.
Sorry for interrupting you. Was she someone you knew?
Not personally. I'm actually here on Wallace's behalf.
Wallace knew her?
Wallace joined the Academy as part of a program run by Headmaster Redmond. At the time, the Headmaster was reaching out to mages among the common folk. He had started a program to admit these mages to the academy without having to pay tuition. Both Emily and Wallace were among those mages. Wow, that must have been an amazing opportunity for them.
It's very hard to switch between Celeste and Eris.
The truth is, neither of them actually cared about learning magic.
Try having to rapid fire switch between Tyrion, the judge, and Orm Light.
Fair.
The real problem was that Emily had a terminal illness. She and Wallace were poor orphans, and they obviously didn't have the resources to treat it.
Orphans, if you will.
But please don't.
But if they enrolled in the academy,
The academy would be obligated to give her medical treatment.
the Imperial Academy teaches the best mages in the kingdom. They thought that curing her illness would be an easy task for the Academy's healers.
Oh, plot syndrome. Awful disease.
Truly terrible.
Absolutely.
But they were mistaken, I'm afraid. I'm sure you know this by now, that healing spells can only treat wounds. They can't cure illnesses. Emily's condition only got worse over the years, and eventually, she succumbed to her illness. Wallace was furious. He didn't understand why the kingdom was outlawing magic that could save lives.
And that's why he decided to learn it himself.
Yes, the headmaster was inspired by Wallace's resolve. He gave him access to the Academy's forbidden tomes of necromancy. And Wallace taught himself the spells that he knows today. So that's why it was supposed to stay a secret between him and the headmaster. But I'm sure you know how that turned out.
Thanks! Creep?
Do we need to present anything to her?
I don't think so.
Yeah, I'm just gonna go. Bye, Eris.
You know, it really doesn't help that she's my type, apart from the whole thinly masked insanity thing.
Oh, it's you, Mr. Cuthbert.
Steelwind? What are you doing here?
After what happened at the trial yesterday, I decided it would be best to start my investigation here.
Can we go back to Eris? Steelwind's just as bad.
I like Steelwind.
See you in your dreams.
You know, I'd find that a lot more comforting if you didn't mean it literally.
Right. Wallace was in the library for the entire morning. So it would make sense that she'd start her search here.
Actually, since I have you here, have you seen Eris Ilmater anywhere? It's my understanding that you're both acquainted with each other.
Unfortunately.
Eris? What do you want with her?
It's not for anything serious, mind you. It's just that oaf of a commander lost her spell compendium.
Orem?
It just isn't his day.
Now we need her to produce another one for our records. If you see her, please let her know that we'd like to speak to her.
We saw her earlier in the cemetery nearby, but I have no idea where she is now.
Ugh. Once again, I have to compensate for that idiot's mistakes.
Oh, I was wondering if I could ask you some questions about the case.
Very well. I suppose I still need to honor our deal from earlier.
Any leads?
Have you had any luck finding the scene of the crime?
Unfortunately, I haven't. From the witnesses' testimonies, we have a rough idea of the route Bellweather took. But none of the rooms we've checked have any sign of a struggle. Why are you so sure that a struggle happened?
People don't
She
typically
has a hole in her stomach.
People typically resist when you try to stab them in the guts.
Usually, yeah.
I'm
Unless they're Saruman.
mainly basing that off the Yana sisters' testimonies. Valerie, in particular, noticed that the bleeding came from a wound in her stomach. Regrettably, the body's wounds were mended,
Surprisingly, there's no such thing as a peaceful stabbing.
so we can't determine what kind of weapon the murderer used.
I mean, yeah, they stabbed me in the stomach, but it's fine, really. I'm not going to hold that against them.
I got better.
During the trial, you mentioned that another witness saw Bellweather walking around yesterday. Would you be willing to tell us who that person is?
I'm sorry, but I can't tell you that. You're caught a little off guard.
You've been pretty transparent with your investigation so far. What's changed?
I have no obligation to justify myself to you. Nor do I have an obligation to help the opposition.
You kind of do. It's called the discovery process.
Does this look like America to you?
No.
Didn't we have a deal? Hiding information doesn't exactly seem fair to us.
I believe I've given you plenty of information already. So regardless of what I said before, the answer is still no. Her family is dangerous.
The Eye of Horus catches a stray thought from her.
Understatement of... well, the playthrough, really.
Her family is dangerous? What does that mean?
Well, don't mess with the Shini Dust Company, is what we're saying.
What?
It's a Ruby reference.
Oh.
Because again, people will understand when they see
I don't watch Ruby.
her. Is there something about this witness's family that you're worried about?
No, this could be a feint. I'm sorry, but you'll have to try harder than that if you want to bluff me.
She referred to the witnesses. Her.
Furthermore, she said that her family is dangerous.
Oh, she thought it. She didn't say it.
Why would she go
When
to
you're a
such
literal
lengths?
mind reader, there's not too much of a difference.
Why would she go to such lengths to hide the witness's identity? In any case, it looks like she's not willing to share more at the moment. Maybe you should try looking somewhere else.
Quick, to the girls' locker room!
Are you serious?
No, it's Cohen.
Okay.
Thanks, I need it.
You spend some time wandering through the academy when you overhear a conversation from a nearby room.
From what I understand, Miss Steelwind has already moved the investigation elsewhere. How long must I wait before I can retrieve my things?
Sorry, old-timer. Orders are orders.
Why do you even have a locker here? I guess old men use the gym facilities too.
It's not a gym locker.
Oh.
Well, it kind of is. It's a school locker.
Nothing comes in or out until this case is over and done with.
Commander White? And Headmaster, too.
Oh. Hello, Mr. Cuthbert. Hey, kid. Hey, kid. This ain't that
kind of movie.
I keep my old yearbooks in there. I have so many of them.
Yes. Yes, he does. Yes, he does. Age 88.
I love how you pointed at it with your finger as if they would be able to see it.
In any case, there are other matters I must attend to. Please inform me when I can reclaim my things.
Sure. Whatever.
Looks like Commander White is standing guard in front of this locker room. And it doesn't look like he's conducting any sort of investigation.
Present.
Kel's surprise. Is he here on Steelwind's orders? He might be able to tell you who this secret witness is. He's on punishment locker room guard duty.
What was the headmaster talking to you about?
Supposedly, he has some items stored in one of the faculty lockers. The problem is, Steelwind said no one gets in or out of this room. Except for her and you two, apparently. She won't even let the other knights in here.
Just go guard the locker room, I guess.
No, there actually is a good reason for it. Really? Is that normal?
Nope. Things rarely are with G's calling shots.
Why would she give you access to the crime scene if she isn't even letting the knights in? Steelwind's orders. With the exception of you and Celeste McCoy, Prosecutor Steelwind isn't allowing anyone inside key areas of the Academy. She isn't even allowing the Knights of the Inquisition within these areas. She appears to be conducting the investigation single-handedly.
I don't know what her deal is. She's been acting strange. She's been real paranoid, that girl. Frankly, I can't tell what's going through her head.
I can.
You mentioned that the prosecutor has been paranoid lately. Think it has something to do with this case?
Nah, it started way before that. Lately, she's been using the Inquisition to investigate a lot of non-magical homicides.
What? Wouldn't it be easier to work with the relevant law enforcement for that?
I don't know why, but she's convinced that these cases have magic involved. We scanned each and every one of those crime scenes. Nothing turned up.
Sus.
I gotta say, though, looking at the scans, I might actually agree with her.
Why do you say that?
Those homicides. I've never seen anything like them. Probably some of the most screwed up cases I've ever handled.
Ooh, tell me more.
One of those cases, we had ourselves a disgruntled spouse. She found out that her man was going around with a barkeep. You know what the spouse does? She stalks the boy. She starts leaving threatening notes all around where she worked. The barkeep told the city watch all about what was happening. No matter how much they staked out the tavern, they could never catch the perp. Then, one day, the barkeep arrived home. Little did she know, the spouse was waiting there for her. Poor lady never had a chance. Then, to tie the whole thing together, the spouse waits for her husband to get home. She cooks him a big roast, using the barkeep's remains.
Shit.
Yeah, no, this game gets dark.
That's wild.
Wow. That story is pretty...
But, I know. Steelwind thinks someone's developed a new type of magic that can control people's minds.
Uh-oh.
These homicides were some kind of...
Magic that can control people's minds?
But wouldn't Mage Blight make more sense?
Mage Blight?
When a mage overuses their magic, it can have pretty bad consequences on their mind. They temporarily lose grip of reality and begin seeing things that aren't there. When a mage becomes like that, it almost never ends well. They enter a frenzy and begin firing spells randomly, which only makes it worse.
I've seen my fair share of Mage Blade cases. It isn't like that. Not all of the perps were mages. The ones that were didn't even use their magic.
Yeah, you go pretty dark, so that's pretty impressive.
Yep. One thing was that each of the perps almost seemed to wake up and be arrested. All of them said things like, "It wasn't me," or "I didn't have a choice."
They didn't have a choice? What could that mean?
I doubt it means anything. Sometimes people can't face the things they've done.
Yeah, plenty of real-world serial killers are like, "It wasn't me, it was the demon in my brain," or something, and they try to claim dissociative identity disorder, and it never works because they never actually have it.
It's easier to say that you had no control than to take responsibility.
Anyway, back to this case. You wonder if you can mislead the commander into revealing who the secret witness is.
During the trial, Ms. Steelwind mentioned that someone other than Jan Hughes saw Bellweather walking around. Have you seen them around lately? We wanted to speak with them.
Nice try, kid.
Well, it was worth a shot. That was a weak shot.
I do love that smirk, though. That is such a good smirk.
Honestly, I couldn't tell you if I wanted to. I don't think anyone other than Steelwind knows who this witness is. I should have told him.
What? She's even hiding it from the Inquisition commander?
I mean, considering his missteps of late.
Yeah, given his track record. Why is she being so secretive? It looks like the commander doesn't know who this secret witness is either.
This isn't getting us anywhere.
Steelwind's behavior is strange, though.
Perhaps you could try analyzing her behavior. If you do that, you might be able to find a way to convince her to help you. Yeah, she does seem pretty desperate for a guilty plea for some reason. Or verdict, rather, yeah.
Does she?
Hmm. Yeah, I would argue she's no more determined in this case than she was in the last one, but
And she
if
certainly...
you weren't here for that case, so...
And to be fair, she accepted that the loss on that last one with a fair degree of dignity. Okay, Steelwind's behavior has been strange this time around. She's hiding elements of the case, even from the commander. Anyone can tell that she doesn't have much faith in him.
I'm standing right here.
We know.
This is the first time I've seen her hide key details of a case from him.
What is motivating Steelwind to keep secrets?
There has to be a reason why she's being so secretive.
Paranoia.
Her actions must be driven by paranoia. She's been hoarding information about the case. There's only one reason why she wouldn't utilize the Inquisition like she usually does. It's because she doesn't trust them.
I hate to say it, but it doesn't really surprise me.
Congratulations, Orem, you have been inducted into the secret conference, whether you like it or not.
Yay. She's always been standoffish with us.
But there is one exception. There are individuals who she's trusted more than the Inquisition during this case.
Us. Because she's letting us into places she won't let the Inquisition.
Mm-hmm.
She let us investigate the crime scenes without any restrictions.
Yeah, I never really thought about that. Does she trust us that much?
I don't think personal trust is the reason. We don't usually interact with her. And she's worked with the Inquisition on plenty of cases that we weren't even involved in. Steelwind doesn't know much about us. But she does know that we aren't prone to noble corruption.
Right. You indicted a noble during the last case.
Meanwhile, the Inquisition usually bends to the nobility's whims.
Ifrit, it's probably worth noting that we're talking about a woman who can, if she feels like it, wipe out an entire county with one spell.
She don't
Blackmail
need to worry
doesn't
about
really-
being blackmailed.
Blackmail doesn't work on the equivalent of a walking nuke.
Well, I can't argue with you there.
What?
On that or the nuke thing.
Yeah, wow.
Using my insight, I can tell that she's worried about the witness's family. If she's worried about corruption from the nobility, that can only mean one thing.
The witness is a noble.
The witness has to belong to a noble family.
I'd argue it might if you threaten their loved ones. True, but we don't know anything about Steelwind's loved ones, so I don't know.
Yeah,
Well, I don't. Sigma does.
the thing is, not only is she a walking nuke, she's a walking nuke because she comes from a long and distinguished line of walking nukes. They all know this spell. It's their
Whoops.
thing.
That's why she's so wary of interference.
But we're obviously not going to do anything corrupt. Why is she hiding the witness's identity from us?
You recall seeing a thought through the eye.
So regardless of what I said before, the answer is still no. Her family is dangerous.
I think worried about our safety.
Yeah, Ifrit, you can make those little rotating sentences say some wild things.
Yeah.
Yeah, I guess harassing a noble could put you in danger. But
I'm the protege of the infamous Ruby Timora.
Yeah, it's not as if we aren't already on the nobility's bad side.
And yes, she is in fact the love child of Fat Man and Little. No, you know what? Let's not put that out into the world. No. I hate it. No.
She's the daughter of the Steelwinds.
Yes.
Moving on.
I'm sure the Pierce family still has it out for us.
This can only mean that the family we're dealing with is even more powerful than House Pierce. If the prosecutor is wary of them, they could even be as powerful as the Steelwinds.
wait. Don't tell me you think we're dealing with one of the four pillars.
Well, thank you for narrowing down our list, Orem.
4 pillars?
It's a name people use for the top 4 noble houses. These families stand at the top of the kingdom's aristocracy. If I recall correctly, the 4 pillars are House Freyja, House Von Sanctus, House Sybil, and House Steelwind.
Well, one of those is familiar to me from watching over your shoulder a while back. But
Honestly, several of them should be.
Steelwind is a part of one of them?
Yeah. Which makes it so much weirder that she's serving as a prosecutor.
the 4 pillar families. The 4 pillars refers to the 4 most powerful noble houses. These houses are House Steelwind, House Freyja, House Von Sanctus, and House Sybil.
What is it?
Steelwind's weird behavior all started after we investigated this group. We were all at the crime scene and she left to follow a lead. But an hour later, she came back to the lecture hall and booted everyone out.
Her behavior changed after investigating this room. That means that she found something here.
And that something must point to a family from the 4 pillars.
Dun, dun, dun.
The commander looks a bit anxious.
No. Steelwind's orders say Steelwind's orders say I can't snoop around here. But you two, on the other hand.
Don't worry, just leave it to us.
I have some school records that say which locker belongs to which student. You can use it to tell whose locker you're in.
Thank you, Orem.
And we'll continue that in a moment. I gotta step away and use the little lawyer's room.
Okay, go use the little defense attorney's room.
Entertain our guests while I'm gone.
So, how is everyone? Yeah, it's Sigma's turn to pass and kidney stone. But yeah, I'm really loving the world building that's involved here. The entire concept of mage blight as something that happens when a mage uses magic too much is super interesting. Have you guys seen anything like that in other media at all? Or is this something that's just new to me and I'm a dummy? It's time for my favorite game. Is this a novel idea or am I just uncultured? Let me take a peek at what evidence we have here. I think D&D has some kind of magic sickness, but I've never manifested like this, I don't think. Okay. Since this is obviously very heavily D&D inspired, I can kind of see where they might have taken that. I'm sure you make great progress on your art, Well, I kind of wanted to keep it quiet to see if it played out, but spell scarring, yeah, this is definitely different than that. My theory that I have is the fact these arcane constructs use Catherine Bellweather's voice. And so, my thought is that someone used an illusion spell on one of the constructs, because they carry out simple tasks. I'm sure they could be like, walk from this room to that room. And because they use Bellweather's voice, if they had to talk to somebody, they would sound like her, but they only have pre-recorded lines that they can use. So the fact that that quote-unquote Bellweather said be quiet to Jan even though he didn't say anything might have been like the person controlling the construct, like trying to pick a line and not having a correct one to pick. I don't know, I'm just kind of spitballing here. Because even the major illusion spell think our defense boy here is going to get an assassin on his tail in the future? Well, that's why Celeste is here. And she's our bodyguard. I love the very subtle difference in Valerie and Valentina's portraits. Just flipping through the menu here. But yeah, Tyrion has made it very clear that he is not at all afraid to target the nobility. So, given that corrupt nobility seems to be a given for this setting, then it would not be unbelievable that he might get an assassin on his tail.
Okay, what's this about assassins on my tail? Again? As usual?
If it was hypothesizing that Tyrion might find himself with assassins on his tail for messing around with the nobility.
Oh, well, no, that is sincerely possible. That's exactly why he's got Celeste following him around everywhere.
That's what I said.
Not just a plucky sidekick and love interest.
Oh, there's an arcane construct in the back here.
Is my theory correct?
Maybe?
Haven't voiced it.
Oh, I voiced it while you were gone.
It's probably here to aid the students. At any rate, I don't think it's relevant to our investigation.
But perhaps you should make a small note of it anyway.
Don't you believe it?
There appears to be an inactive arcane construct in the Academy locker room. Yes, my theory was that somebody cast illusion on one of the constructs to make it walk around appearing to be Bellweather because they speak in her voice, but only pre-recorded lines.
Interesting theory.
Which would explain why it said something weird and out of place to Jan in the hall.
Interesting theory, and very plausible.
You use the legend that the commander gave you. You look carefully across the list and find some notable student names. Well, let's start with our boys. You open Wallace's locker. Inside, you find a bottle of fragrant liquid and something that looks like a makeup kit.
I like to feel pretty.
Huh. I didn't expect Wallace to use stuff like this.
It does seem strange, but it's not your place to judge. Anyway, you should try looking through the other lockers. Use the legend the commander gave you. Listen, if a dude likes to wear a little eyeliner...
And foundation, and blush, and perfume.
You look carefully across the list and find some notable student names. Oh. But Wallace did say it has always been a popular prank amongst the other students to swap his nameplate with other lockers.
Could it have happened again?
It could be someone else's locker. Let's look at Miriam Frega's. You open the locker with Miriam Frega's ID number. Inside, you find a stack of worn-out textbooks and notebooks. Yeah, I'd forgotten about that until just now, Z.
Wait a minute. These notebooks all have Wallace's name on them.
Ding, ding, ding! There we go!
And there you are.
You open the notebook and look through its pages. It appears to be research on the art of necromancy.
These are Wallace's notebooks.
But why are they in Miriam Frega's locker? Did Miriam steal his things?
What's going on here? You and Celeste check the locker more thoroughly.
Wait a minute. Tyrion, take a look at this.
That's... blood!
What?
Evidence in the locker. There's a stain of blood inside the locker with Miriam Frega's ID number. You use the legend the commander gave you. You look carefully across the list and find some notable student names. Let's look at Jaden von Sanctus.
It's full of weed!
You open Jaden von Sanctus' locker. Inside, you find several bottles of some kind of transparent lotion. CBD oil?
Ew, it's worse. There's nothing but lotion in here.
Puts the lotion on its skin or else it gets the hose again.
Teenagers.
Oh.
Wonder why a student would need this much.
You know exactly why a student would need this much lotion, Tyrion.
Take one of the bottles to inspect it more closely.
Transparent ketchup different.
No, he's talking about the blood in Miriam's locker.
Oh.
Wait, Tyrion! Don't touch those with your hands!
It's some kind of sanitizing liquid.
Whew. Thank God.
It's a little strange, but it doesn't seem to be related to the case.
Thank God he's just a germ freak.
Whew.
Use the legend the commander gave you. I feel that chronic dry skin problems.
I'm a walking grease pit.
Let's look at Warren Sybil.
No, he just needs to be extra germless. Like a baby's bottom most certainly isn't.
You open Warren Sybil's locker. Inside, you find some textbooks and a neatly stacked deck of hero cards. Still.
Oh, it's like those cards that fortune tellers use.
You ever use O'Keefe's working hands?
Or Aquaphor. Honestly, Aquaphor I find tends to work when they're at the point that you really need, like, medicated levels of intervention.
Well, there's medication in O'Keefe's working hands too.
Oh, need a burrito.
I wonder if this student studies divination magic.
Spoilers?
Yes, they do. Still, I don't think this is related to the case.
Use the legend the commander gave you. Da, 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 da. And that's all of them.
Not gonna lie, the last two were a complete and utter waste of time.
We found a few things, but I can't really make sense of any of it.
I wasn't aware that working with wool is bad for your skin.
Well, wool does absorb things, like moisture,
And
so would probably dry your hands out.
that tracks.
We should look at this from the prosecutor's perspective. Steelwind found something in one of the lockers.
Whose locker had the most suspicious evidence?
And whatever that was, it made her extremely paranoid.
Miriam Frega's.
Allegedly.
No matter how we look at it, we found some insanely suspicious things in Frega's locker. It had Wallace's notebooks, and even some blood.
But that blood is certainly strange. It implies that something bloody was stored there.
Do you think someone stole it?
No, actually.
Okay, wool yarn is just surprisingly rough, apparently.
I think it was Steelwind who took it.
Oh, right. Orin mentioned that she investigated this room. She must have taken the bloody item as evidence.
But with that said, there's something else that's strange about Miriam Frega's locker. It had a lot of Wallace's possessions. It's possible that she really did steal these items from him. But it's more likely that this locker isn't actually hers. Remember what Wallace told us before?
Oh. I think this was a fake frame job.
Could be, could be.
They were trying to make it look like Miriam Frega did it. So they stuffed the bloody whatever it was in the locker that had her ID number on it, but it had been switched with Wallace's. So they just shoved it in Wallace's locker.
Sometimes the other students would steal the ID number off my locker. Then they'd switch it with the number of another locker. I thought it was funny whenever the student who owned that locker got angry with me.
So someone switched the nameplates?
This means that this isn't Miriam Frega's locker. It's Wallace's.
But that would mean that the bloody object came from Wallace's locker.
Appears so.
Yeah, how else?
Have you seen him?
How else would you make?
He's very pathetic.
How else would you make Wallace Nightgrave sound? Evidence in the locker updated. There's a stain of blood inside the locker with Miriam Frega's ID number. This locker actually belongs to Wallace Nightgrave. Someone must have switched the ID numbers with Miriam's locker.
But if that's true, why didn't Steelwind present the bloody item during the trial? I proved that Bellweather was wounded before Valerie healed her. Wouldn't that have been the perfect time to present what she found? It was a bloody item found in the defendant's locker, after all. She could have easily proved that the nameplates were switched too.
Right. That is weird.
There's something more to this that you aren't seeing. But what? If the bloody item was something that irrefutably belonged to Miriam Frega?
I think we'll just have to ask Steelwind ourselves.
Thank you for your assistance, Orem. You've been lovely.
Welcome.
Back to the library.
Oh, you're back.
Hello! We've uncovered a few things during our investigation. Miss Steelwind, are you acquainted with a student named Miriam Frege?
I underestimate them. I said it before, Mr. Cuthbert. I won't fall for such an obvious bluff.
It's not a bluff, Miss Steelwind. And I'll prove it using the evidence we've gathered.
Arya Steelwind's psychological profile is complete. Oh, we have to argue.
Yeah.
And then we argue, and then we shove the evidence in her face.
Well, you shove the evidence in her face while arguing.
Steelwind is paranoid, and for whatever reason, it's due to the involvement of Miriam Frege. If you could convince her to reveal why she's being so secretive, she might give you more information. Start an argument with Arya Steelwind. Arya Steelwind is now ready to argue.
You've been behaving strangely, Steelwind. Even the Knights of the Inquisition have noticed. Steelwind is extremely logical and won't accept arguments that aren't supported by evidence. However, she has become secretive lately, and her actions seem to stem from paranoia. She's uneasy about case elements that relate to Miriam Frege, and she's very inclined to hide Frege's involvement from the court at all costs. Oh, probably just at the end of this segment, Em.
Yeah, until we hit the next save point, then I'm gonna be done.
Yep. Won't be too much longer. That being said, if you want to duck out early, that's fine. If you want to catch the rest of this later, it'll be on YouTube.
Mm-hmm.
Please, just tell me. Why are you being so paranoid?
I'm not sure what you're trying to imply, Mr. Cuthbert. I've approached this case objectively, just like I have with every other case. Nothing about my behavior has changed.
You've ordered the Knights to stay away from the crime scene. And you've even taken it upon yourself to conduct the investigation yourself. That is not normal behavior for a prosecutor.
I took those actions because the Inquisition is incompetent.
I mean, to be fair,
How could I possibly trust them with anything?
The Knights are incompetent. Thanks, Stevie.
I mean, he's not wrong!
The Knights are incompetent, but even you can see the value of delegation. During Celeste's case, you still delegated tasks to the Inquisition. And you could have easily investigated the McCoy Tavern yourself. This academy is huge. You wouldn't conduct your investigation this way unless you had a good reason.
Then why don't you enlighten me? Why would I act in such a way? What would cause me to behave so strangely?
Involvement of 4 pillars?
Seems reasonable. You know that the Inquisition is corrupt and will bend to the nobility. So, what would happen if a powerful noble were publicly involved in this case? With that noble's influence, they'd probably order the Inquisition to conceal their involvement. A high-profile noble is involved in this case, Steelwind. And I believe that noble is Miriam Frege.
Again with this. Do you think you can bluff me by throwing out the names of random nobles? Not every noble is a malevolent criminal like Eric appears. I've said it before and I'll say it again. My investigation doesn't involve the Fregas. Nothing about this case has anything to do with House Frege.
Then how do you explain this, Steelwind? Commander told us that you were following a lead in the locker room yesterday. We investigated the lockers of students from the 4 pillar families. And we found stains of blood in a locker with Miriam Frege's ID number. And it was presumably left by a bloody object.
Sorry, cut you off a little there.
it's fine. I was able to read it all.
The bloody object was taken by someone. And we heard that you became extremely paranoid after you found something in the locker room. If I had to guess, I'd say that you took the bloody object as evidence.
And what evidence do you have to support these outrageous claims?
What?
The only thing you have is evidence of a bloodstain. There's a myriad of explanations for that. Everything else you mentioned is pure speculation. You can't prove that piece of evidence exists. I could have found any number of things in that room. Or possibly nothing at all.
I'm gonna go with threaten.
Threatening a steel wind. This can only end well.
Okay, maybe I'll go with rationalize.
I didn't say it was a bad idea. Oh. You found an object in the locker with Miriam Frega's nameplate on it. If you don't present what you found to the court, I'll have no choice but to pull the owner of that locker onto the stand.
That's ridiculous. You both know that the locker in question belongs to Wallace Nightgrave.
Can you unequivocally prove that, Ms. Steelwind? Because the way I see it, there's a lot of room for doubt here. Enough doubt for me to pull Ms. Frege onto the witness stand. But if I had more context, maybe I wouldn't have to resort to that. Oh, he's good.
Well played, Mr. Cuthbert. I suppose I don't have a choice, do I?
You've successfully persuaded Arya Steelwind.
Yay!
Now, let's have a chat.
Just so we're clear, I wasn't acting to protect the nobility. But I'll admit that Miriam Frege was the other witness that saw Bellweather that day.
I see. I had some suspicions, but...
There's also another matter.
This one looks uneasy.
When I was investigating the body, I found this.
Evidence of academic dishonesty. A tightly packed folder containing several documents. The documents contain evidence detailing multiple instances of plagiarism, fraud, bribery of school officials, and various other offenses committed by Miriam Frege. Ah.
What the?
It looks like Miriam's been cheating at school.
But why would Bellweather have something like this?
From the way it's arranged, I think it might have been blackmail. Miriam Frege is considered a prodigy in the practice of conjuration magic. She's won a litany of awards, and she will most definitely graduate with honors. If these files were to reach the public, it would absolutely ruin her reputation. Do you think that the professor was trying to threaten her? It appears so. When I discovered this, several elements of the case were still unknown. I decided to look through her belongings, and I mistakenly looked through the locker with her ID. I found this in that locker.
Bloody rapier. A rapier covered in blood. It was found in Wallace Nightgrave's locker. Apparently, it's a valuable family heirloom in House Frege. It was reported stolen by Miriam Frege weeks before the murder.
All of the things that just... Well,
It's a valuable heirloom.
I mean, if it was stolen, I guess that's a pretty reasonable way to misplace something like that, yes. Misplacement via theft. That's... This is...
Very likely that this is the murder weapon. This rapier is a valuable family heirloom for House Frege. And a few weeks ago, Miriam reported that the rapier was stolen from her room. And then it was found in Wallace's locker.
Misplacement via theft. It is
You're
a
welcome.
funny turn of phrase.
You're welcome, I think. Not that I'm complaining, but why didn't you present this in court?
To be honest, I'd like to avoid involving House Frege
By any means necessary.
by any means necessary. I knew it! You're just protecting her, aren't you? Ms. McCoy, do you recall how Wyvern justice system works?
Oh, I know this one! Poorly!
To acquit a defendant, you need to unequivocally prove that they didn't commit the crime. To do that, they either need a solid alibi,
Or we need to prove that someone else committed the crime.
What do you suppose will happen if you bring Miriam Frege onto the stand? House Frege won't allow one of its members to be indicted in a court of law. They'll plant and forge evidence to implicate your defendant. And they'll use the Inquisition to do so.
So that's why you've been keeping them away from the investigation.
Can't you do anything? The Steelwinds are powerful too, aren't they? I don't have the support of my house. Right now, I'm just a prosecutor. Nothing more.
I mean, you are a prosecutor who can literally blast a hole in the crust of the earth, but that's neither here nor there.
Steelwind, you know that this isn't fair for us. Just do nothing. Do nothing and let us win.
Yes, but I can't blow up the injustice. Here. Not with that attitude, certainly.
Celeste!
If we can't go after Miriam, then you can at least help us save Wallace. I'm not going to do that. Why? What if Miriam Frege is the real killer? Her sword is the murder weapon, and Bellweather was trying to blackmail her. I seem to recall another case where an innocent person's sword was used to frame them. Ouch.
She right, though.
That's... As a prosecutor, it is not my place to decide who's guilty and who is not. I won't engage in corruption, even if it's to counter corruption from another noble house. I'm sorry.
Do you know where Miriam is?
Take off?
Do you know where Miriam is right now?
Didn't you hear what I just said? You can't let her think that there's even the slightest possibility you'll indict her.
He's not having a seizure, he's just turned into a chainsaw.
She'll bring the entire wrath of House Frege down on you.
Regardless, can't do anything for Wallace unless I know everything that happened. Frege has the last piece I need to put everything together.
Well, I suppose I don't have much of a choice, do I? Her dormitory is room 107. I imagine she'll be there considering classes are suspended.
Thank you.
If I don't tell you, I'm sure you'll probably just find out using some other means. But please, Mr. Cuthbert, be careful. Appreciate the thought.
I mean, she probably just doesn't want you to fuck this up for her. Also, yeah, that room is pretty fucking great.
Goth AF! We're not calling a turtle to the stand.
Yeah.
You follow Miss Steelwind's directions and find Miriam Frege's dorm room. The door leading inside seems a lot more ornately decorated than the other dorms. You go to knock on the door, but you don't realize that it's only partially closed.
You've been an interesting opponent. I'd hate to see her kill you.
You've been an interesting opponent. I hate to die.
As your fist comes into contact with the wood, you accidentally push the door wide open.
Excuse me? How dare you barge into my room? These insects have no respect.
Yeah, I think she nailed the white Schnee voice on the first try.
Sorry, I meant to knock, but
Construct! Remove these hoodlums from my room!
Acknowledged. From the corner of the room, an arcane construct stands up and starts making its way towards you. Before you can protest, it raises its fist to hit you. You only have enough time to raise your arms and brace yourself for the impact. You close your eyes and wait for the blow. It does not come. But instead, you hear the clang of steel against steel.
Ruby OC nothing. She is just straight up white snake. You know, the W in Ruby.
Confused, you open your eyes and see Celeste standing between you and the construct, at a Goyle. Her sword is drawn and she's using it to block the construct's fist. Ah! Upon taking a closer look at Celeste, the student stares curiously at her.
Construct, stand down.
Acknowledged. That's okay, Ifrit. I also know nothing about Ruby.
Which is why I'm impressed you got the voice down so perfectly on the first try.
You said do Bratty Noble, so I did Bratty Noble.
To be fair.
I'm terribly sorry for that. I wasn't aware this was your servant.
Celeste looks angry, but puts away her sword without a word.
I haven't noticed you around campus. Are you a new student? If she has a personal attendant, she must be important.
Oh! She thinks Tyrion is the servant. That's funny.
What?
You see an opportunity.
Yes, my master just enrolled here recently.
Celeste gives you a puzzled look, but you make a silent gesture back. After a moment, she seems to realize what you're doing.
Yes, I just started here.
Oh, it's about to get worse, Ifrit.
I take it you're Miriam Frege?
Yes, I'm honored that you recognize me.
It is a pleasure to make your acquaintance, Ms. I'm Celeste. Celeste Smith.
She catches herself and pauses for an awkward moment.
Steelwind. I'm Celeste Steelwind.
Like I said, worse.
Oh god. I want to go to bed just because I cannot deal with this bratty noble mood out. I'm dying of secondhand embarrassment. You can't believe her. There's no way she's going to believe.
Steelwind! It's a pleasure to meet another member of such an esteemed house. She must be from a branch family. Maybe I can use her.
Wait, she's actually buying this? I can't believe it either, Ifrit.
I just moved in, and I thought that I should introduce myself.
Listen, y'all, I need y'all to understand. No one ever made it into the nobility on the merits of their own mind.
Oh, thank God for noble women being dumbass bitches.
Seeing as you're a top student in the field of conjugation, I love how it changed on her.
No, not even gonna mention the,
With air quotes.
No, nope.
Conjugation. Yes, she excels in her Spanish lessons. Just absolutely destroys those verbs.
She speaks German.
Conjuration.
Yes.
Well, there's no backing out now.
Conjugation. Conjuration.
Yes.
Questions.
Miss Frege, I was just wondering if we could ask you some questions
You're
about...
the servant, Tyrion. You don't talk.
Excuse me? I don't believe anyone has permitted you to speak.
Oh, here we go. Celeste is still smiling, but you can faintly hear her grinding her teeth together.
So, we heard about what happened to Professor Bellweather. I can't believe it. Yes, it's quite tragic what happened to her. She's always been an acquaintance of House Frega.
She appears to be more receptive to Celeste.
I wonder why.
It might be better to let her take the lead.
She could just keep her schools of magic straight.
We heard that you saw her on the day of the murder. Could you tell us more about what happened? Oh, you heard about that from your relative, did you? You don't mind me asking, why are you so interested? She's not like Arya, is she? Oh, you know, I'm just curious is all. You know how uneventful life can be sometimes. Being a noble and all.
Alright, tone it down.
Oh, is that all? I was worried you were going down the same path as that poor, confused Arya. What does she mean by that? But I'm in the middle of a study break anyway. I suppose I have some time to sate your curiosity. Construct, please prepare us some tea. Use that lotus tea we imported from the Eastern Kingdoms. She could be useful if I can win her favor.
Acknowledged.
Lotus tea? You have lotus juice?
No,
Oh,
Celeste. I feel like you're slowly losing control of this situation.
This tea is nothing more than hot lotus juice.
I heard that you saw the professor on the day of the murder. Where did this happen?
I was in the hallways when I saw her coming out of the headmaster's office. She was heading toward the library.
Do you remember what time this happened?
I'm not really sure, honestly.
How could a member of my own chat say something so horrible?
Listen, we all know tea is hot leaf juice and coffee is hot bean water.
Or a divorce. You're right, but
You have said hot bean juice before.
no, I said hot bean water.
Yes.
I will not give coffee the distinction of being juice.
Okay.
It's a little embarrassing, but I have a bad habit of getting too absorbed in my work. Sometimes I'll let entire hours pass by without noticing.
Do you have a rough idea, at least?
I think it was in the morning.
In the morning, you say? She thinks it was in the morning?
Yeah, she wasn't whistling Dixie about losing track of time.
Anyway, did anything seem off about her?
Miriam's too busy brown-nosing.
No, it was a short encounter. I merely greeted her, and she responded in kind. Or at least that's what should have happened.
That thought just now. What does it mean?
Hmm.
You slowly glance at Celeste and catch her attention. In small motions, you shake your head to indicate that Miriam is holding something back.
Were you and the professor really on good terms? I heard she was pretty mean towards the other students. Towards the riffraff, maybe, but not to students like us. She was a great ally to House Frega. Or at least, she used to.
It's kind of hard to be an ally when you're dead.
That's why we were planning on appointing her as the new headmaster. Wait, what did you just say?
Tell me more on that, please.
Did you just say that your family was going to appoint Bellweather as the new headmaster? Oh, I'm surprised you didn't know.
How's preposterous? I'm not dead yet.
House Frega holds several seats on the Academy's board. We were making plans to have her replace that lout Redmond.
Although my career might
We're going to sack the headmaster? Probably less sack and more forced retirement. He is 88.
I mean,
Did Headmaster Redmond know about this?
Oh, of course not. This was part of a large-scale plan. Along with Redmond, we were also going to replace all of the staff members with arcane constructs.
see? Told you.
We had to keep everything under wraps, or else the help would have left prematurely. Where would that leave us? But Jan supposedly overheard Bellweather talking about the constructs. Did Bellweather prematurely reveal the plan? Or was Jan lying about how he found out?
I do appreciate that Z is very much in the camp of murder sword the rich.
I'm down. Yeah, the help. I cringed as I said it.
But alas, with Bellweather gone, we'll have to delay our plans.
Oh no, what a tragedy.
Bellweather's plan has been updated in your notes. House Frega was planning to fire Headmaster Theodore Redmond and replace him with Catherine Bellweather. They were also planning to fire all of the Academy staff and replace them with arcane constructs. This was supposed to be kept a secret, but according to Jan, Bellweather revealed this plan to the Headmaster during a meeting a few weeks ago.
Yeah, letting AI take over the job market. Bad, janky, largely useless AI, as you'll find out in, well, at some point or another. Throw it in the water.
Okay.
It's only logical.
So, we heard that Arya took your rapier as evidence for the case.
Can you believe her? She still won't give it back to me.
Go to bed, Em!
You're allowed. We'll comment on your art when we're done, and you can see it in the morning.
Seriously.
My father will have my head if I can't get it back soon.
How? You don't... It's not like he's got a sword to take it off with.
How did it even become a part of the investigation anyway?
It is getting juicy.
Lotus juicy.
Don't know. Arya won't tell me anything. I swear, if that necromancer was the one who stole it, I'll execute him myself.
How? He's got your sword.
So someone did steal it from you?
Yes, from right out of my room.
When did this happen?
About a few weeks ago. I noticed when I came back from one of my classes. I knew you'd like this game, Em. That's why we were pushing you to join us. Someone removed the rapier from its display case in my room.
How did they get into your room in the first place?
Do you think someone used magic to teleport past the door?
Please, I'm a master of conjuration magic. If someone attempted that, my enchantments would have shunted them out.
That means the thief came through one of the doors or windows.
I bet it was that necromancer. I'm sure a street child like him just knows how to pick a lock.
Celeste, no murder sword. Yet.
No murder sword yet.
You're great. I've heard that you're one of the Academy's top students. Your grades must be amazing.
Of course. As the inheritor of House Frega, my grades are impeccable. It feels good to have my greatness recognized. That's strange. I don't see anything contradictory through the eye this time. You make a gesture towards Celeste to continue pressing her.
What kind of magic do you study here?
Yes, a D+ average.
Passing?
You must be joking. I study magic from the School of Conjuration, and certainly not conjugation. Just like most members of my house.
The School of Conjuration. That's the type of magic that specializes in spatial manipulation and teleportation, right? Yes, I consider myself quite the expert in that field.
I'm really enjoying this scene. Mostly because I don't have to do anything.
Why, the Crown Prince himself has asked for my assistance in a research study. It's nice to work with someone of my caliber.
Again, you don't see any thoughts that contradict what she's saying. Does that mean she's not lying? If she's smart enough to get the Crown Prince's attention, why would she be cheating?
You said something about my wayward relative before. Were you talking about Arya?
Oh, I'm terribly sorry if I offended you. But I'm sure it must pain you to see the way that she's been acting lately.
Yes, it's been extremely hard.
Hang in there, Celeste.
Well, as a member of one of the pillar houses, Ifrit, Miriam Frege has something of a genetic factor for very strong magic. The fact that she's extremely gifted, and then on top of that is just, well, she's got
Bonus.
She does have a reason to be proud of that, and literally nothing else.
Did you know that she even interrogated me about the murder yesterday? Can you believe it? A steel wind running around a crime scene like a common knight? Why, if I tried something like that, my father would disown me. Does the nobility not approve of Steelwind becoming a prosecutor? Obviously. You always thought that it is strange. What is motivating her to do this? Honestly, she probably thinks she can do anything just because of her betrothed. She deserves better. Celeste's eyes perk up upon hearing this. Oh, she knows where the hot goss is coming.
Oh, Lottie.
You'd be lying if you weren't. Also, curious about who this Aster is.
Well, yes.
But you shoot her a stern look that tells her to stay focused. Aw, man, I wanted the tea!
Soon-ish.
Soonish. We will get the tea eventually.
Best case.
Can't risk blowing your cover for some gossip.
Next case.
It's kind of great. Y'all gonna love it.
You have an arcane construct in your room. I thought they only had them in the library and the locker room.
This construct was a gift from House von Sanctus. I have to say, they're quite convenient to have around.
They look really cool. Maybe I should get one.
You should. A construct would be far more useful than this attendant of yours.
A little less aggressive on the space bar. I know.
Sorry, I got excited.
I know. She's insufferable.
I can confirm Aster is not a furry.
Well,
At least I don't think so.
not openly.
Alrighty.
Unfortunately, there are still some issues with their intelligence.
Their intelligence?
There are issues when you give them complex commands.
Yeah, well, a machine is only ever going to be as intelligent as its creator. And
It might be easier to show you.
Mr. Von Sanctus is... well,
Miriam turns to the construct and begins gesturing towards it. Construct, please retrieve my textbooks and bring them here. Then cast Steelwind Strike at this location. After that, retrieve some plates and set them out at this table. Acknowledged.
What?
The construct stands up and retrieves Miriam's textbooks from one of the shelves in the room. It brings them to the table you're sitting at, just like she ordered. But then, it suddenly stops moving.
beep boop.
Wait, what happened?
The construct obviously can't cast Steelwind Strike, so my second command was impossible to carry out. But did you notice something else?
It ignored your third command, too.
Correct! My third command was possible to carry out.
So why did it ignore that command?
Constructs execute a series of commands in the order that they are given. But let's say one of those tasks is impossible to complete. When the construct gets to that task, it will deem the entire series impossible to complete. As a result, it will stop executing the series altogether.
So if a task in a series of commands is impossible, then that command will interrupt the sequence of commands.
Exactly. Give me a second, guys.
Arcane constructs process tasks in the order that they are given. If a construct is ordered to complete tasks A, B, and C, it will process each of these tasks individually. If task B is impossible, the construct won't realize this until it reaches task B. When it reaches task B, it will deem the entire series of commands as impossible and stop what it's doing without even attempting to complete task C.
Thank you.
This has been a lot of talking for me.
Pick up the slack when I can. Lady Steelwind, I'm afraid we must leave now if we want to make our next engagement.
Oh, right. Let's go. Servant?
Oh, leaving already? It was a pleasure talking to you.
Yeah, sure. I hope to see you around. In the courtroom.
You make your way back to the foyer with Celeste. With all the time you've spent, you only have a brief amount of time before night falls.
Are you sure you didn't want to talk to her more? We were getting a lot out of her.
We already got a lot of useful information out of her. The more time we spend with her, the more likely she is to see through our ruse.
Right.
And failing that, the more likely you are to just cut her in half. So, why Steelwind?
I don't know. I panicked. Arya is like the only noble I know.
What about Pierce?
I'm not using that creep's name.
Oh, I love her pouty face. Look at it, so cute. Oh, queen.
I squish your little cheeks.
Oh, yes. Well, hopefully Steelwind doesn't mind us borrowing her name.
And we got her statement on what she saw that day.
And there's also what she said about her rapier.
I bet she was lying when she said it was stolen. She was probably trying to establish an alibi.
I'm not so sure.
Why do you say that?
Doesn't it feel too obvious? If she was lying about the rapier being stolen, that would imply she planned all of this in advance. But if she had to choose a murder weapon, why would she choose something that literally has her name on it? I'd understand if the murder was a spur-of-the-moment decision. She might have just used something nearby in this case. If this was a premeditated murder committed by Miriam, that rapier would be the last weapon she would choose.
Right. I guess that makes sense.
There's also the evidence of academic dishonesty. It doesn't match up with what we heard from Miriam.
You mean all that stuff about working with the Crown Prince? She was probably just making things up to look good in front of me.
I have an insight when it comes to... Do you mind?
I'm sorry. When it comes to things like this.
When it comes to things like this. Under normal circumstances, I can usually tell when someone is lying. And a lie as grandiose as that would be something I would definitely see through.
People can subconsciously shield themselves from the eye of Horus, even if they don't know about it. But when they do that, you usually can't see any thoughts from them. You also saw that she was lying about her encounter with Bellweather. You would have seen dissonant thoughts if she was lying about her grades.
Well, I guess I'll trust your insight. But what does this mean?
I don't know. Even with everything we found, I'm still not sure who the real culprit is. At the very least, I think we should still try to pull Miriam onto the stand. If she testifies in court, I might be able to find something I can use.
But that's a big maybe. If you don't play your cards right, He might spook the Fregas enough for them to pay off the judge.
Either way, it's getting late. We'll probably have to turn in soon.
Yeah.
Just hope you did enough to acquit Wallace.
Well, we'll have to find out next time.
We'll do part 3 of the case next time.
Yes, the game is in fact telling all of us to go the fuck to sleep.
Yes. So for now, we will pop back to the title screen. Thanks for everybody who stopped by. Please do all the YouTube things, like, comment, subscribe if you feel like it.
Or don't. We ain't your parents. Yes, we dodged right in the nick of time.
If you like and comment, even if it's not for the whims of the almighty algorithm, it does make me really happy, so I would really like it if you did.
Besides, we can always use a bit more input on how to make our entire streaming experience just a little better.
Maybe if anybody watches back this VOD and can help us figure out why some of the audio is so crunchy, if you could leave a comment, we can maybe fix that for next time. In the meantime, we're just going to go ahead and wrap this up here. And we'll see you again same time next week.
Yes, indeed.
Now, what does this button do?
Oh, for the love of...